Me and John were Stephen's roommates in college, and me and Stephen lived together for 4 years, and John moved in with us for our junior and senior year, and we did everything together. Wherever Steve was, or I was, or John was, we were all there. He was the best friend anybody could ever ask for, and then some. He was a brother to us, to you guys, and that's just who he was. I got to laughing on the way over here with my wife because of how slow we were driving, because Stephen never drove slow. He hated it. Wherever we were going fast. He probably should have had a few more tickets than he did, but I've been asked multiple times this week to tell stories and share memories about our times together, and I've told Paul and my parents, I don't know that I could tell a whole lot that would make them real proud of us, but 3 college guys living in a house together, you can use your imagination on what all happened there, so. But a couple things I'll tell you all about that you might not know about how he was as a football player, and just some little things, small things that John and I have been talking about this week. But he was a tremendous football player, and he may have only had 1 full season at SBU, but he was so much fun to watch. You know, he was about 300 pounds when we knew him, and he may have been the gentle giant off the field, but on the field he was an animal. And there's a specific play, and me and Paul were talking about it the other night, and we were playing Emporia State. I was actually homesick, so I was watching on TV. But we're on about the 3-yard line. We're about to score, and we're running off right tackle, and Stephen's pulling across the line. The defensive end never sees it coming. He rolls him up, perfect somersault over him, jumps up, linebacker's coming across. He sticks him with a forearm shiver and knocks him down. We score the touchdown, and the announcer, one of them, was a former offensive lineman, so he was ecstatic. He's freaking out. They showed it a dozen times, and I'm just sitting there at the house like, that's my roommate. That's him. But that's how he was on a football field. He was dominant, and something that I thought about last night late was kind of how that correlates to him being a police officer. As an offensive lineman, you don't get a lot of recognition, but you're a protector. You're on the front line, and your job is to pave a way and keep the guys behind you from getting hit. And that's what he did on a football field, and that's what he did as a police officer. And I'm awfully proud of him for how he approached both of those things. One memory that me and John have really been enjoying this week is there's a little diner in town called Brenda's Cafe. We'd go down there every week for games and grab breakfast. Depending on if it was a home or away game, we'd go on Thursday or Friday usually. We get the same thing every time, and we just sit there and talk about life and football and dreams of ours and parties and girls, and those were some fun times up there. But I can't really say a whole lot about Steve that hasn't already been said and that everybody doesn't already know that knew him. You know, he was a great guy. He was funny, and he was smiling and laughing all the time. Any chance he got to pull a joke on you, he was gonna jump on it. And he was just so much fun to be around. I asked a few officers the other night. I went to the funeral home and spent about 4 hours with Stephen. And I asked them if there was anything they wanted me to say on their behalf, because the department's made statements and friends and family have made statements, but I wanted to hear what they had to say. And one particular officer, I thought, said it best. He said he had such an aura about him, just an aura of protection. And his energy was so positive that everybody just wanted to be around him. You saw him and you just wanted to be around him. So I just thought that really summed it up in just a few words of if you'd never met him and you just saw him, that's just how he was. I've had two big thoughts this week. And the first one is there's a word that everybody's used to describe Steve, and it's best. And you can fill in the blank after that. He was a best friend, he was the best son, the best brother, the best roommate, the best teammate, the best officer, and you could keep going on for days of what he was the best at. As I've talked to people and met new people this week, we've all told the same stories about him, just in our own words. And I think that's a testament to who he was. He was the same guy to all of us. We all knew the exact same Stephen Carr, just at different times in our lives. And he was who he was, and if you liked it, great. If you didn't, he didn't care. He was going to be who he was. He wasn't changing. And I love that about him. Sunday night at the memorial, I was standing there, and as police officers and EMS and firefighters all came to pay their respects, I just felt the need to thank them, and I don't really know what for. And as I introduced myself, they all said the same thing, and they said, "I'm sorry for your loss." And I'm going to tell you all what I told each of them, and I told Chief Reynolds, this wasn't my loss, and this wasn't your loss, and this wasn't their loss, this was our loss. But I've made a decision because I know it's what Steve would want me to do. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to wallow. I'm not going to have a pity party for myself because I miss my friend. I'm going to keep my head up. I'm going to stand tall. I'm going to put a smile on my face each and every day and make a conscious decision that it's going to be a good day. Because that's what he would want. He wouldn't want all this recognition. He would appreciate it and he would understand it. But that's not what he wanted. And so that's how I feel I can honor him, is by doing that. Keep living life. And on the hard days, because there's going to be hard ones, just hear him in the back of my mind tell me to man up, quit being a baby. Maybe in a little more colorful language than that, but so that's how I will honor him. And I want to thank Paul for letting me speak today and asking me to speak today. It means an awful lot to be able to do that for you and for Kristen and for us. So with that, I'll leave you and thank you, everybody, for the show of support and the love. It's just been incredible. I wish we weren't doing this, but it's been incredible. So thank you.